Imagine a place where, for the very first time in history, the sun, not natural gas or coal, has become the dominant force powering the largest and most populous state in America. That place is not a far-off utopia or a science fiction fantasy. It is real, and it is called California. This seismic shift, where solar energy has overtaken natural gas as the leading source of electricity, marks not just a milestone for the Golden State, but a potential turning point for the entire planet's energy future. Yet, beneath the golden rays, critical questions remain. Is California's solar revolution truly as shining and unstoppable as it appears? Or are there hidden storm clouds gathering on the horizon, threatening to dim this clean energy dream? Over the past 12 months, California's solar generation has done what once seemed impossible. According to data compiled by the United States Energy Information Administration, from May of the previous year through April of the current year, solar power produced more than 83 terawatt-hours of electricity. Natural gas, by comparison, managed just above 81 terawatt-hours. These numbers are not just impressive, they are transformative. For the first time, about one-third of all electricity consumed in California now comes directly from the sun, while natural gas supplies a nearly identical portion, just a thin sliver less. This is a profound change in a state known for its sprawling cities, high-tech industries, and relentless energy appetite. But do not be fooled into thinking California has always been a land of solar panels and green dreams. Go back to the early 1970s, and you would find a very different story. Back then, solar power was the domain of a few visionary scientists, environmental activists, and idealistic tinkerers. Most people saw it as an expensive curiosity, not a practical solution. It was not until the oil shocks of the 1970s and the creation of the California Energy Commission in 1974 that the state began to take energy planning seriously. The commission's founding was itself a response to uncertainty and crisis, as leaders searched for ways to secure California's future against volatile global oil markets. As the state moved into the 1980s and 90s, incremental progress began. Policy innovation became the engine for change. The introduction of net metering in the 1990s was a pivotal move. This policy allowed homeowners to feed excess solar electricity back into the grid, not only reducing their own bills but incentivizing broader adoption. Suddenly, solar panels were not just symbols of environmental virtue, they made financial sense. Then came the 21st century. In 2006, the Million Solar Roofs initiative set an ambitious target: install solar panels on 1 million California rooftops. The California Solar Initiative, launched soon after, put real money and resources behind the vision. In just a single decade, from 2014 to today, the share of California's electricity generated by solar leaped from about 7% to more than 32%, a staggering increase that few could have predicted. Let us pause to appreciate the magnitude of this transformation. In 2014, solar was still a fringe player, barely noticed in the state's vast energy mix. Today, it rivals natural gas. Long the undisputed heavyweight of California's grid, the numbers tell a story of exponential growth. Solar's share has more than quadrupled in just 10 years, outpacing even the most optimistic forecasts from earlier decades. Meanwhile, the total amount of fossil gas burned for electricity has only started to decline in recent years, dropping by just over 2% since 2017. Back then, gas still accounted for nearly 59% of all electricity produced in the state. Now, it is barely clinging to a third of the market, and its dominance is fading. But let's not spread sunshine without acknowledging the shadows. Despite this rapid rise, natural gas is still hanging on, and the transition is far from complete. While the share of gas in the electricity mix has shrunk dramatically, the absolute amount of gas burned has been frustratingly stubborn, barely budging over the past decade. Between 2017 and 2024, gas generation fell from just over 88 terawatt-hours to around 86 terawatt-hours, a decrease of only about 2.3%. In practical terms, that means California is still burning nearly as much fossil gas as it did 10 years ago, even as solar power surges ahead. The reasons are complex: grid bottlenecks, the need for stable backup power, and the technical challenge of integrating variable solar energy into a system designed for steady, dispatchable fossil fuels. Then, there are the truly historic moments that capture the imagination. On April 30th, 2024, for a few precious hours, California's electricity grid ran entirely on clean energy. This was not a hypothetical scenario or a clever accounting trick. For those hours, every light, every computer, every electric vehicle charger in the state was powered by renewable sources, solar, wind, hydro, and batteries, without a single molecule of fossil fuel entering the grid. It was a glimpse into a possible future, a powerful demonstration of what is achievable, with enough ambition and coordination. Yet, as the sun set and demand surged, the party ended. Fossil fuels had to step back in to keep the lights on. Bernadette Del Chiaro, head of the California Solar and Storage Association, summed up the challenge bluntly. The biggest roadblock right now is red tape. We need to streamline permitting so solar and storage can scale. Her words echo the frustrations of countless developers, homeowners, and businesses who have tried to add solar panels or battery systems only to be bogged down in paperwork, inspections, and delays. A process, critics argue, is too slow, too complex, and too expensive, undermining the momentum of California's clean energy transition. That brings us to the heart of California's solar revolution and its greatest challenge. As solar surges, the grid faces new and sometimes daunting headaches. Chief among them, how do you keep the lights on when the sun goes down or when clouds roll in? Energy storage is ramping up at breakneck speed. California now boasts more than 15 gigawatts of battery capacity. And during some recent evening peaks, batteries have even become the grid's largest single source of electricity, if only for short intervals. This is a stunning technical achievement, made possible by advances in lithium-ion technology, dramatic cost reductions, and smart incentives like the state's self-generation incentive program. Batteries now enable solar power to be stored during the day and released during the critical evening hours, smoothing out the peaks and valleys of demand. But storage alone is no silver bullet. Dr. Daniel Kamen, a renowned energy expert at the University of California, Berkeley, warns that without major investments in advanced grid technology, much of California's renewable potential could be left stranded. We risk leaving renewable energy stranded, he cautions, pointing to the need for smarter grid management, flexible transmission infrastructure, and sophisticated software that can balance supply and demand in real time. The grid of the future will have to juggle not just solar, but also wind, hydropower, geothermal, and perhaps most importantly, millions of distributed energy resources, from home batteries to electric vehicles. To understand the scale of the challenge, consider this. On a sunny spring afternoon, solar power can meet nearly half of California's electricity demand. But as evening approaches and solar fades, demand often spikes, forcing grid operators to turn to natural gas plants for backup. This daily cycle, known as the duck curve, has become steeper each year as solar capacity grows. Energy storage has begun to flatten the curve, but current battery installations can only provide a few hours of backup at full output. If California wants to run on clean energy around the clock, it will need to massively expand storage, upgrade transmission lines, and deploy advanced grid controls. Experts like Janice Lin of the Green Power Institute see energy storage as the linchpin of California's next chapter. Without large-scale storage, solar can only take us so far. Storage is the key to a truly reliable, clean grid, she says. The numbers back her up. California's battery fleet has exploded, doubling roughly every year in a few months. By the spring of 2025, batteries even became the single largest source of electricity on the grid for a brief but historic moment. If this pace continues, energy storage could transform California's solar power from a daytime phenomenon into a true 24-hour powerhouse. Yet risks and obstacles loom large. While solar now supplies more than a third of California's electricity, fossil gas use has barely budged over the past decade. The reasons are familiar. Grid bottlenecks, slow permitting, and the ever-present challenge of delivering power when the sun is down. If policy reforms lag or storage growth stalls, the fossil fuel status quo could claw back its dominance. As Bernadette Del Chiaro of CALSSA warns, we can't let red tape and outdated rules slow down the clean energy momentum we've built. There are also deeper structural issues. Severin Borenstein of the Energy Institute at the Haas School of Business advocates for reforming net metering policies to ensure fair compensation for solar users while maintaining grid stability for all. He notes that as more homeowners install solar panels, the burden of maintaining the grid increasingly falls on those without solar, raising concerns about equity and long-term sustainability. Reforming these policies is politically sensitive, but necessary to keep the grid fair and reliable. Another critical piece is transmission infrastructure. versus John White of the California Renewable Energy Coalition, stresses the need to prioritize upgrades and expansion. Much of California's best solar and wind resources are located far from the urban centers where electricity is consumed. Delivering clean power from distant deserts or mountain valleys to cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, or San Diego requires robust transmission lines, an area where the state has struggled with permitting, environmental reviews, and local opposition. Without new investments in transmission, even the most ambitious renewable energy projects could be left stranded. Former California Public Utilities Commission President Michael Picker highlights the importance of balancing three core goals: affordability, reliability, and environmental protection. If we focus on only one or two, we risk losing public support or creating new problems. It's about finding a careful balance through policy design and stakeholder collaboration. So what does the future hold for California's solar-powered revolution? The possibilities are both electrifying and uncertain. On one hand, California's victories are already sending ripples across the country and the world. Just this past April, the entire United States saw solar provide more than 1/10 of its electricity for the very first time, a national milestone that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. States like Texas, Arizona, and Nevada are racing to catch up, investing in their own massive solar arrays and ambitious clean energy targets. If California can crack the code on reliable, affordable, and clean energy, it could become the blueprint not only for the nation, but for the entire planet. Internationally, the world is watching. China, the world's leading manufacturer of solar panels, has invested heavily in both solar and battery storage. The European Union has set aggressive decarbonization targets, with countries like Germany and Spain deploying record levels of renewables. Yet few regions have managed to integrate as much solar power as quickly, or at such a large scale, as California. The lessons learned in the Golden State about grid flexibility, market incentives, and community engagement are already influencing energy debates from Sydney to Sao Paulo, from Cape Town to Copenhagen. But the road ahead is not without hazards. As California pushes solar to record heights, it must also manage new forms of risk. Wildfires, droughts, and extreme weather events, exacerbated by climate change, can disrupt both generation and transmission. Land use conflicts arise as solar farms compete with agriculture, conservation, and urban development. Environmental groups are grappling with the trade-offs between large-scale solar installations and the preservation of sensitive habitats. The state must also consider the life cycle impacts of solar panels and batteries, including recycling and disposal of materials. On the policy front, California is exploring innovative solutions. Time-of-use electricity rates are being rolled out to encourage consumers to shift their energy use to periods when solar is plentiful. Community solar programs are expanding, allowing renters and low-income households to participate in the clean energy transition without owning their own rooftops. The California Public Utilities Commission is actively promoting energy storage through programs like the Self-Generation Incentive Program, helping to drive down costs and spur private investment. Net metering reforms, though controversial, aim to strike a balance between rewarding solar adopters and ensuring grid stability for all. So what practical lessons can you take from California's journey, no matter where you live? First, it shows the power of long-term vision and leadership. California's clean energy surge was not built overnight. It is the result of decades of targeted incentives, bold policy decisions, and relentless focus on technology and innovation. Whether you are a homeowner, a policymaker, or a business leader, the message is clear. Sustained commitment and forward-thinking policies make transformational change possible. Second, technology adoption is essential. Rooftop solar, sprawling utility-scale arrays, and cutting-edge batteries are no longer fringe experiments. They are now shaping the very future of the grid. If you are considering investing in solar or storage, the landscape has never been more attractive or accessible. Costs have fallen dramatically, financing options have multiplied, and installers are competing to make the process as seamless as possible. Even small actions, like participating in demand response programs or installing a smart thermostat, can contribute to a smarter, cleaner grid. Third, policy matters more than most people realize. From the Million Solar Roofs initiative to recent reforms that encourage grid upgrades and fair compensation for solar users, smart policy has been the engine behind California's transformation. If you want clean, reliable energy in your community, pay attention to local and state policy debates. Your voice, your vote, and your engagement can help drive the changes needed to accelerate the transition. There is also a secret fact that many people do not realize. On a sunny afternoon in late April of 2024, California actually ran on 100% clean energy for several hours. For that fleeting moment, fossil fuels were completely sidelined, and every watt of power came from solar, wind, hydro, and batteries. It was a powerful signal of what is possible if the right investments and decisions are made, not only by policymakers, but by all of us. Looking ahead, the stakes are enormous. If California succeeds in creating a grid that is clean, reliable, and affordable, it can serve as a living laboratory for the world, a place where new technologies are tested, new policies are pioneered, and new business models are born. But the risks are real. A faltering transition could embolden fossil fuel interests, slow global progress, and leave communities vulnerable to climate and energy shocks. The evidence, however, suggests that with continued investment in storage, faster permitting, smarter policies, and a willingness to innovate, California can not only maintain its lead, but help propel the rest of the world toward a cleaner, more resilient energy future. As Dr. Daniel Kamen notes, California's success will ultimately depend on its ability to combine technical innovation with political will and social inclusion. That is the real challenge and the real opportunity. So, does California's solar revolution have staying power? Or will old obstacles drag it back? The answer is still unfolding, written daily in kilowatts and policy decisions, in the actions of homeowners and the calculations of grid operators. But if the past decade is any guide, the arc of California's energy story bends toward a brighter, cleaner, and more sustainable future. If you found this journey into the solar revolution eye-opening, do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more global technology and economics breakdowns, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think your state or country could follow California's path? What energy future do you want to see?